weekend power 10. Hey, Karen. Hey, Sophie. Hey, Hyros. Did I say that right? Hyros. I said good evening. Where you at? Hyros. You in Hawaii or somewhere? You said VA? You up this late like me? He took care of baby. Euros. Okay, I said it right. Good. Good morning, Strong Ego. Where you at? You in London? You say you need 40 acres in VA. You know they got a lot of land for sale here. But out there on that west side though. That's where everybody creating their farms at over there. In those counties. Yeah, Maryland talking about good morning. It's 1 in the morning. Well, yeah, it's morning. You're right. You're right. Hey, we ain't gapo. Chama we ain't gapo. Chama chest chame. Nutara wings TashaXi. And we're gonna get into Cherokee marriage and tradition and the roles and relationships. Hopefully we get in it. Get all into that. Hey, Andrew. So let me see if I can bring this up. Share the screen. This janky screen. And after I go through this document, I'm just going to go through this one source because everybody asked for the sources instead of me just telling y'all how it went down. I'm going to go through this one source. It's an academic source. And then you can ask a little bit of questions or whatever. Greeting, Bishop. And then Bishop Outlaw, you a Tupac fan or something? All right, hold on. Let me get into this. I'm losing some of y'all. You're dozing off, I guess. It's so late. Let's share the screen. Okay, hopefully y'all can see it. Let me know. Hold on, let me pull up. I'm gonna pull up the chat on my phone. So let me know if y'all can see the document. I'm gonna turn the volume down. Check it out on my phone so I can see the chat. You said true Tupac fan. Yeah, right. Hey, Frank. All right, so y'all can see it. Let me put like a 1 in the chat and let me know you can see the document. Make it bigger. Oh no, that don't look better bigger. I'll just make it regular. It actually looks smaller. Hold up. All right, y'all can see it now. All right, thank you. Hey, Sterling. So we're about to get into this. This is called Tying the Knot, Marriage Traditions and Cherokee Society. The author is Dusty Hicks. They're academic. I guess they got a bachelor's. This is somebody's dissertation, though. Got a bachelor's in art with a major in history at the University of North Carolina, Asheville. All right. So the abstract. This is abstract means like the summary for people who don't know. It's like the summary of what all this is talking about. Many changes have taken place throughout Cherokee society within the influence of the white man. I didn't say it. And the introduction of Christianity into everyday life. Many of the traditions of Cherokee culture were stripped away or modified to great extents. The marriage of the Cherokee people was one way these new ideas were clearly seen in society. Before Christianity came into their culture, the Cherokee enjoyed a courtship, marriage, and family life unique to their society. Following the impact of Christian missionaries, many restrictions were placed on the Cherokees. Even today, the Cherokee people face many of the changes that have resulted from the outside influences. Okay, and we're not going to get into the naming because people want to say their name this, say Anawania and Kituwa and Cherokee and all these things. I'm just using Cherokee today because this is what it says. Bishop, you said you what Cherokee. I mean, I said Cherokee. You said you what Tupac was trying to be. You said I'll be Pac and you be my Jada. You know, Pac and Jada never got together. Why would you say that? Will Smith made sure of that. But anyways, let's get back to this. So I try to go through and highlight this stuff, but I didn't really have much time today. So we're going to get through as much as we can. The introduction has pretty much most of the history on here, you know. So we'll get into it. To the basics. Okay. So in the introduction, they're basically talking about the basic life and just what she said in the beginning, or he, I don't know what if Dusty is a man or a woman. I think that's a male's name, right? But basically about Christianity coming in and kind of changing everything. And, a lot of Cherokee people converted early, so they felt kind of guilty about certain traditions and ceremonies that they had in their previous culture, and it, became part of the Christian culture. Hey, Blazer. Hey, Greg. You said me and my girlfriend. That's all. Look for me. Anyways, under the direction, according to Thomas Males, spelled like you got mail, under the direction of the village leader, all men and women cooperated in the working of every section. Okay? And this is stuff that people keep getting twisted, especially when they hear matrilineal. They think women dominate, women do everything. But we know in many American Indian societies, everything works in balance. Can't have the yin without the yang, okay? Can't have the male without the female energies. We're not just talking about private parts. We're talking about energies here. Okay. So men toiled in the fields, hunted, fished, built houses. That thing just blinked out like that. Women ruled the house, and their many duties included caring for and raising children. Everyone had a job to do within the Cherokee Nation, and they were expected to perform their task well. Okay. While the work of individuals was important, leisure time was of equal significance. Okay. So when the Europeans came here, they liked to say that our men were lazy and all this stuff when they saw them out chilling in hammocks and sitting by the river taking naps. But that was a part of our culture, right? Or they saw the women gossiping, just sitting around gossiping. That stuff was part of our culture. We had to have balance. You can't have all work and no play, right? So they had to have an equal leisure time, and it was important. That's part of your spiritual ritual as well. Okay, you need that mental health break, right? Like we have the weekends now. Hey, Jazzy J. So that's basically what it is, the balance, okay? The center of the spirituality of the American Indian is balance, okay? You can look at the medicine wheel. You see the central point in the medicine wheel is you, and you're going into all directions at that crossroad in the circle. That's balance, okay? North, south, east, and west. Let me get back to it. Wow. Okay. This time, however, was taken very seriously. The men would often participate in ball play games. Okay, what do our men do now? They playing ball, or they on that NBA 2K playing virtual ball, right? Watching football or playing flag football or whatever. The women, in games in which only the males were allowed to take part. Women were chosen to sing, dance, and cook for the players. Cook for a player. Dances and feasts also occupied leisure time. Okay, so they party and they eat, and that's part of the ritual, part of that equal balance, right? From working, because the people work hard in the daytime. When you out there fishing and hunting, and you gardening and you cooking, and you watching them babies alone, y'all know how that is for the parents. That's hard work. So they have to balance that with leisure. So at the nighttime or the evening time, that's when they have the dances and the feasts and the ball games and such. Plus, the sun is down a little bit more. You're not going to get so hot when you're playing sports either. William Gilbert stated, in most of the dances, both men and women participate, but only the men are allowed to lead and do the singing for the dancers. Okay. So all this stuff has a significant reason for that as well. So the men lead in the singing and the dancing. And usually, men in general, not all the time, don't want to stereotype, but they have a more powerful voice that projects better in some instances, okay? These dances also served as an important social event for courtship between young clan members. Not the other clan. We're talking about the Cherokee clans, okay? Um, Following Christianity's introduction into the Cherokee Nation, gender roles became reversed. Traditionally, Cherokee society was centered on the woman. As time passed, the man became the head of the household in accordance with the Christian ways of living. Even the people's traditional way of life began to disappear as their lives became more Christianized. Okay, and that's once these things start happening, once the people became more Christianized, you can go back in time and look at how these treaties were signed. Okay, and a lot of the men who became into dominance at this time was not balancing society equal with the women, and they were doing things without consulting the women or the male elders as well. Okay, because some of the male elders, they spend time with the women at a certain point when they can't hunt and fish and things like that. They'll, sit and watch the women cook or whatever, or just be chilling out in the farming fields and things like that. Ringapo, Kenny. Um, so yeah, and they're basically going into how the churches were built there, and everything started fading away. The ball games faded away, and it says in some cases they quickly became white. And we know that's true today. A lot of the people are completely westernized now. Ningapo, cousin. Ningapo. Okay, because marriages were not as legally binding among the Cherokee as they were among white people, any documentation of marriage and family were difficult to record. Because we didn't write these things on paper all the time. Maybe certain, chiefs or whatever. That's what they're talking about. That doesn't mean that our governments were not official and legally binding, because everything went through the council and the government of the nation. In fact, the Cherokees enjoyed much sexual freedom, making divorce rates very low. You all know what that means. However, despite the low divorce rates, separation among the marriage partners was common. It was anticipated that an individual would have many lovers. Okay, so y'all can read into what y'all think with that. Okay, in some cases, the people had other spouses, and some of them just, y'all know what I'm talking about. I mean, if their other partner was cool with that, I guess, I suppose. According to Sarah Hill, some took partners for love and life. Others changed marriage partners with ease and frequency, and none suffered punishment for divorce or adultery. So, Cherokee society was very loose with people being loose with their sexuality. Other societies, I know for the Powhatan society, that wasn't the case. Maybe other Tidewater societies wasn't the case. Powhatan society, if you were caught doing adultery and things like that, you were thoroughly embarrassed at the town square. Sometimes you could have been whipped. But Cherokees were very loose with that. Okay. And the Christianity, and they're basically going into how Christianity changed that again. Okay. So it says today, a typical Cherokee family will resemble a typical white, quote unquote, family with little variation. Y'all know that's very much true. Okay. I'm going in more into Thomas Mayle's book. So his book is The Cherokee People, the story of the Cherokees from earliest origins to contemporary times, if y'all want to check that book out. So that's one of the sources that this Dusty Hicks is using for their paper. Okay. So, in this other person's book, what's her name? Thea Purdue. Her book is Cherokee Women, Gender and Cultural Change, 1700 through 1838. And so she gives a full description of not only how important the role of Cherokee women was during this period, but also how the role transitioned over time. And basically going into how women were overlooked in, Cherokee history, a lot of American Indian history. She believes that women's position in Cherokee society were the most important and should not be easily overlooked. Okay. So that's very important. We saw already that they said that women were, very important, and they were equal to the men. So the men were important as well. That doesn't mean men was not important. Okay. We'll see you, Dan. Okay, and she says, women stood at the heart of hospitality. They grew, harvested, gathered, prepared, and served foods for guests in households that they owned. Each meal and every visit reinforced the strands of relationships and responsibilities that bound Cherokees to one another. So they're saying the babies. The women, so the women were the farmers. They grew and they harvested the food. Okay. We saw that some of the men helped work and toil in the field, but essentially the women grew the food and things. Okay. They gathered, prepared, and served the foods as well. So, in Cherokee culture and a lot of the woodland cultures, everyone was very hospitable. You came to visit, you would come to your clan's house. Doesn't matter what town or different type of Cherokee you were, you would go to your clan's house. If you were Wolf Clan, you'll come to the Wolf Clan house, and the women would host you. They'll prepare your food and everything, and find your place to sleep on the floor or wherever wherever you got to sleep at. You said Dusty Hicks. Don't change some letters around though. Don't change those letters around. It says each meal. But back to what I was going to say, like when you walk, like in the woodland culture, when you come in the house, the first thing the woman will say is, "Are you hungry?" We know a lot about grandmas. When you go to grandma's house, that's the first thing they say. "You hungry, baby? You eat?" So that's where that's coming from. Each meal and every visit reinforced the strands of relationships and responsibilities that bound the Cherokee to one another. So that's how everyone bonded. The common thread throughout was the identity and work of the women. Okay. And y'all know how hard hosting people are. it's not Airbnb. You just put a bed out there and fix your house up. They had to have people staying in there. They had to feed them, make sure the clothes is right, make sure they're entertained, Yeah. You said you could see it at 144p. Is it messing up that bad? Because my internet's supposed to be good. Your net is it mine or y'all's? Because I got this thing should be working right. And hopefully you can see it. Y'all can hear me. Hopefully you can see it. If you want to read the document, it's on my Patreon. I'll try to leave a link later. Oh, it's fine on your. Okay, I thought mine's was messing up because y'all know my internet be janky, but it's late at night, so it shouldn't be nothing on the internet except me. All right. So among these traditions was marriage. They're getting into the marriage tradition. Now they're going to get into it, and they're going to break down the actual ceremony for those who are interested in that, because I get a lot of questions on like how is the actual ceremony, because people want to recreate these ceremonies for their own marriage or partnership or whatever, bounding ceremonies, whatever people call it these days. Okay. People want to have their own marriage, and y'all can do this without involving the U.S. government if you would like, especially if you're already in a tribe. I don't know what kind of traditions they have set up, but they can look back at these old ones and kind of come up with something new, because that's what our people did. Okay, anybody telling you otherwise, they're not telling the truth. Like some of the stuff is not as old as people are acting like. And then they're acting like because people don't know certain things that they're wrong. When our people changed and created stuff, something new, just like our people do today, right? I mean, we created jazz, and we created R&B, and then we created hip hop, right? So it's not we just stayed in one place. That's what we always did, create something new. Dan, you said your grandma and all the elders' first question was, "You hungry? Come sit down and eat." Exactly. That's the tradition. That's that hospitality. It's the woodland hospitality, right? Okay, so among these traditions was marriage. There existed many regulations concerning marriage, but once inside the bounds of marriage or bonds of marriage, the participants experienced much freedom. Both men and women had their own roles to play, and each role was essential to the formation of a proper family. Okay, you got to have that male and female energy. 7 clans of the Cherokee Society was a social structure determining, among many other things, who could and could not marry. The clans were composed of the blue, long hair, bird, paint, deer, wild potato, and wolf clans, which were important in the functioning of the Cherokee Society. According to Lawrence French, Jim Hornbuck, the clan structure held the Cherokees together as a people. It provided their identity and regulated marriages and mobility as well. Okay, so that marriage structure was very important. All right, they didn't have baby mamas and all this stuff everywhere. I mean, that's if you divorce somebody. So they had marriage as something important. And everybody didn't just get married. Like most people got married as teenagers, but then there's still people who wait till they old to get married. So thank you. Let's give up the likes, y'all. Share it out. People gonna see it when they wake up in the morning, you know. Yes, please like and share it out. Subscribe if you haven't subscribed, because you see how random I go live. So you got to be subscribed. You got to hit the gray bell button to know when I'm going live, okay? The regulation of marriage proved to be the most important function of the clan system. Rules and regulations concerning the marriage of the Cherokee were numerous. The most important regulation determined by the clan system was that children belong to the same clan must never, under penalty of death, intermarry. All right, so basically they was not with the hillbilly incest stuff at all. I keep trying to tell people that that's how it was. People don't want to listen, okay? So they about to break it down right now. Everyone from the same clan was considered to be brothers and sisters. Okay, you couldn't marry, if you was a wolf clan, you couldn't marry a wolf clan. That was incest, and you could be killed, it says, under the penalty of death. Okay, we didn't play that incest mess. Let them have that out in Europe. We didn't have that over here or wherever. Africa, they had it in Africa too. They sure did intermarry with the clans. We didn't do that over here until probably with late 1800s. People started marrying like distant cousins. So when you do your genealogy, like I found, you might have 2 people. I had 2 people with the Brown surname. So I'm like, okay, the female Nancy, like maybe it's just that's Brown is her married name, and then come to find out that they were like third cousins or something like that. Okay, they both descended from Abraham Brown, so her and her husband were cousins, and they had the same surname. All right, so keep that in mind that started happening. in the late 1800s, mid 1800s, because at that point, a lot of these families who were indigenous were trying to, quote unquote, keep the blood pure and only intermarry with other indigenous people. So when they keep telling us that y'all is this and that, and you just because your grandma is Cherokee don't mean everybody in your family is Cherokee. These families specifically intermarried to keep indigenous identities or bloodlines, so to speak, because a lot of the identities were lost. Okay, so most likely, if you find somebody a little bit ways back, they're most likely married to another. Well, not most likely, but a lot of times they're married to another indigenous person, especially in Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Maryland, Delaware, probably up to New Jersey too. I can't speak for New York and all that. All right, so let me get back to it. Young people were also discouraged from marrying into their father's clan. Okay, so the father is still important, even though you belong to your mother's clan. You still know your father's people. You still go and hang out with them, etc. Okay, you can't marry them either. That's your cousins. that's your extended brothers and sisters. That's still your family. The female of traditional Cherokee society held the most power within the clans. Marcelina Reed stated that clan affiliation was inherited through the mother's line. Individuals were encouraged, my Virginia accent almost came out, were encouraged to marry into either the maternal grandfather's clan or paternal grandfather's clan. So this is where the grandfathers come in. The grandfathers is just as important as grandma now. Let's not get it twisted. Grandfathers, so you see the importance of the grandfather's clan. This role of the clan system in marriage would remain a tradition for quite some time until more Christianized ideas of marriage came into play. Y'all laughing at me. You say, oh my God. Yeah, they had to make sure. They were like, you gonna die because we're not letting y'all mess with your cousins and your sisters and brothers and stuff. They're like, no, that's the penalty is under penalty of death. No. See, our people knew. They try to make it like our people is ignorant, but they knew science, and they definitely knew bloodlines. Okay, so they knew the importance, and that's another reason why, like I've said many times, the Europeans and other foreigners were allowed to come in and intermarry at such a rate, because it got to a point where a lot of people were getting enslaved and a lot of people were getting killed. So it was like, who is left? Okay, certain tribes or certain nations, I know, like for the Powhatan nation, they killed like whole villages. They enslaved whole villages, okay? And they made sure certain clans were gathered at certain tribes, like the Mattapanai had gathered all these different people from like the Wolf clan, and all these spiritual people were at the Mattapanai clan. So in many instances, the people had to marry outsiders. So they didn't want to have too much incest going on, okay? You said women back then were having 12 children. Churn. Yeah, they were having 12 children at a time. That's what we say. That's how we say in Virginia, churn. They were having a lot of, yeah, they were having, but well, they, at a certain point, they stopped using the traditional birth control. So that's why, like your grannies and them from the early 1900s and stuff, or late 1800s, had a bunch of children because they didn't have the birth control. But like in many of these other societies, the families, the father and the mother, they planned out the kids, and a lot of them had like 4 children, but that they planned out. Like people didn't have all these children because they could regulate it with certain herbs and things like that. Okay. Yeah, we got to get our numbers up, but the thing is, we're not getting our families up. That's the whole point. People's not making families no more. People having baby mamas or baby fathers, or just being players forever, So we can't get our numbers up that way, and then people killing each other. We fighting in the streets. We fighting each other. We're killing each other, or we acting like other people are better than our own people to be partners. And I'm not saying nothing wrong. Like I said, these people intermarried, quote unquote racially or interculturally with other people. I'm just saying that if we're gonna get our numbers up, we got to come back to the family structure, and we can't be dissing our own people, and we can't be fighting and killing our own people. So that's stuff what people need to look into, and a lot of the men need to take the lead on this, because there's a lot of men that's taking the lead on the, disrespecting people for another people and fighting and killing. Now, women, we see the younger women is fighting and killing, fighting and scrapping each other. We just saw the instance with that young lady out there, knife fighting, and like this is out of control for our people. Okay, so we really need to take a look at ourselves and be accountable, right? That's the only way we're gonna get our numbers up. So. All right. Cherokee females often had the most rules to follow concerning the timing of marriage. Because Cherokee women married at such a young age, it was important that they prepared for their future. Females often married as early as their 13th birthdays if they already had a love interest. And you ain't talking about no R. Kelly stuff. It's usually a boy. It's usually a boy around her own age. Okay. Peace, Renzo. The women usually marry a boy around her age, maybe 17, not no 30 something, 40. Okay, most of the time they marry another teenage. Like we had teenage crushes in high school, and a lot of girls start dating in high school. That stuff comes from these woodland cultures. Okay, so that's when the courting process starts for the it says Cherokee females. This document is about Cherokee marriage and the roles and traditions and relationships of the peoples. So once a young woman was about to go through her first menstrual period, she was immediately separated from her family. She was sent to a distant location where she remained for 7 days. At the end of that week, she was required to wash herself and her clothing. Anything else she had to come in contact with during this time needed to be washed. This is some sort of ritual, purification ritual, such. Yeah, we got to get the families up. That's all it is. People got to be accountable. That's what I'm saying. Everybody want to blame this and that other person, but we got to step up. Okay. I already read that. She was then allowed to return to her family and was considered ready for marriage and its responsibilities. Once this process had taken place, the female was considered a woman and prepared for the challenging task of marriage. Okay, so this is when they taught them how to cook and clean, or make sure they knew how to cook and clean and farm and all these things that needed to be done. Okay, and they didn't just sit around, look pretty and whatever and whatnot. It said, Patrick, he said, Ashe, my beautiful, spiritual, in-depth sister. You're doing a wonderful job teaching, my sister. Love you and have a wonderful day, my love. Thank you, Patrick. He said, right now it's Marquez Houston. Oh, no, don't bring, no. I'm not going to talk about him. Especially after the young man that was just talking about him got killed. Accidented. He got accidented a couple weeks ago. Amanda just came out about him a couple months ago. Y'all can look that up. What's his name? Quentin Tarver or something like that. Yeah, so I'm not mentioning nothing about this MH person. Hey, Diane. No, you're not late. You only missed a little bit. You can watch the replay. We're talking about Cherokee marriage and relationships, and I got some gender roles as well, and the traditions and ceremonies. We're gonna get into y'all laughing at me. I'm trying to be good on these YouTube streets. I'm trying to be good. Hey, Tamara. So let's get into the social events. Yay, the parties. Many social events took place throughout the year, which allowed members of the different clans to come together and become acquainted. And I told y'all about that in the 13 Thanksgivings video. The one about Thanksgiving. Well, I have a more in-depth one that I need to finish editing, and I'm gonna put that one out, breaking down each holiday. It's more of a general thing, but mostly based on the Algonquin traditions on the Tidewater area. But it's going to show you all the different, events, the social events that they got to go to so they can meet their boo, they can meet their husband or wife at. So, OCO, Renzo, nah, you ain't missed that. I'm goofing off right now. It was often at these events that young people from various clans would meet for the first time. Dances, festivals, and feasts were the most popular social events among the Cherokee people. Y'all know how we do. We got to eat, right? We got to party. Of all the celebrations that took place annually, two seemed to provide the most opportunities for those looking for a mate. Uh-oh. Got the love connection. You say, okay. Yeah. According to Carolyn Johnston, the friendship dance was an occasion for single people to meet and get together socially. So this is one of the dances. This was a dance, and just like we have now, we had those Sadie Hawkins dances and stuff in middle school and high school. This basically what this type of stuff is. This was a dance in which the participants would act out the stages of courtship and intimacy. Another popular celebration was the Green Corn Festival or ceremony, that a lot of people talk about. This is for Selu, for the goddess Selu, who's the corn goddess. At this festival, individuals from various clans were brought together and given the opportunities to socialize. So they're trying to hook the young folks up. Okay. Young people would meet. Marriages were arranged and performed between consenting couples. Like I said, ain't no R. Kelly stuff. Let me stop talking about him too. Okay. Hey, cousin. You gonna find your friend. See, but this is stuff that we need to be doing. we need to be bringing these festivals and stuff back. OCO. We need to be bringing this stuff back for real. At this festival, individuals from various clans, I already said that, they got socialized. And they were blah, blah, blah. Although it was not the only time of year a marriage could be performed, the Green Corn Festival was a popular occasion for a wedding ceremony. Okay, this is what a lot of people do not speak about. And I think I talked about it before that. If y'all go back and watch the Thanksgiving video, I did talk about that they come to these events. They have weddings at these events, okay? This is where people got married. This is where they tied the knot. People didn't really have all these different individual weddings that we have now. Okay, you were there. Most of the time, everybody's family was there. At least some family members are there. Their friends were there. So people will witness their ceremony, right? You say yes, a 50 plus friendship dance. We need it for all of us, all ages. For for all ages. This ceremony played an important part in courtship as well. And this is courtship in Cherokee society was a very formal event. There are many different methods of marriage proposals among the Cherokee people. He said, I'm doing a great job, but your screen is blurry. Yeah, I'm sorry. That's why I'm trying to read it out for you guys. Yes, we need to revive our nature-based traditions. Yes, these were done. These ceremonies were outside. They're either outside or in one of their governments, the nation's government buildings, I guess you would call it. You know, that town, wherever they were, like their town hall building. Like a lot of us go down to the courthouse and get married. You know, some of these people out, if they didn't get married at Green Corn or one of these festivals, they would go down to the equivalent of the courthouse in our nations. When a young man wanted to marry a certain young woman, like I said, it wasn't no lopsided age type of thing. People were too young people most of the time, or they rather too older people, 50 plus, you know, people, you know, 40s, 30s, whatever. People usually married within, you know, a couple years or maybe 10 at the most within their age range. Sometimes he would speak with her, he spoke, I think it meant her parents. Okay, when the young man wanted to marry a certain woman, he spoke with his parents and her parents, and sometimes with a brother from each of the participating clans, whose consent was essential. When all parties agreed, a time was set for the marriage, and the priest would officiate, was notified of their wishes. This appeared to be the easiest of the four techniques of proposal. A second way included the young man falling in love with a girl before her change, that means her period, had taken place. If this happened, the man must first speak with the girl's parents. If they consented to his wishes, he was required to keep the girl supplied with venison, that's deer, until she had her first menstrual cycle. Throughout this period, the girl was not allowed to marry another person. So he had to prove himself with food for the woman. If he kept up to it, they could get married, but she couldn't just marry somebody until he was finished, proving himself. Yet another form of courtship required that the young man contact a female relative of the girl he wished to marry, who then discussed this with the girl's mother. If granted permission, the man was allowed to share the girl's bed in marriage. The fourth and last method of traditional proposal was quite complicated. Male states that the suitor either devoted his services, for a specific time to the parents of the maiden he was courting, hunting for them or assisting in making of their canoes, or he offered them presents he already had, which usually consists of clothing for the bride. Oh, okay. Thank you, Celestine. You can see it and you can hear me. Although the male was to do the proposing, was required to receive the approval of the bride's mother. Did I miss something? Okay, this was a sort of purchase contract. Although the male was to do the proposing, was required to receive the approval of the bride's mother, the desired women must consent to the arrangements before the marriage took place. Okay, so it wasn't like in other countries. Everything it was in then the women's consent. Okay. All right, hold on 1 minute. I'll be right back, y'all. Give me 1 second. Put some music on for y'all. I'm back. Sorry about that. You said let's get 7 more up on the board. We can do it. Yes, please. Please like and share out. Please like and share out. People can see it in the morning. All right, where was I? So basically, the young man, you're talking about the young man was, doing things around the house for her family and stuff to get, to show he was worth something. He said best elevator music. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So, everybody had to do their parts, right? Constructive, actionable criticism. Okay. For those individuals who were older and unmarried, a wide range of formulas or charms were available. These formulas were used to attract a spouse and were most often used by males. Males stated that the late marriages were common, and the person involved in these frequently used love charms and rituals provided by medicine men or women to gain the affection of the ones they desired. Okay, older people get desperate, I guess. Like, you're like, we got to go to the medicine people for something. You said they trying to find the right one. They ain't trying to just marry anybody. I don't blame nobody. OCO, he said they lived better in the 1800s than we're living right now. Yeah, they did. They had better water, the better air, probably better houses, better families, Yeah, they were living better. This method was usually used as a last resort, okay? If they couldn't find nobody to green corn or wherever, then that was the last resort. Like I said, they got desperate at this point when they went to the medicine man. OCO, Hermosa. Some formulas could have quite a negative effect on the desired. According to Raymond Fogelston, before it is possible to gain a woman's love, she must be made unattractive to other suitors. Oh, that sounds like a hater. In short, love attraction rites may be viewed as a type of black magic in which one of the objects is to bring misfortune upon another person. This was typically a dangerous approach to winning the heart of the beloved. Yeah, that ain't right. Well, and then it's like, why would you want to marry somebody with misfortunes? That's not cute. You gonna put misfortunes on your boo like that? No. Your bae. James Mahoney. Did I say that right? Mooney, I'm sorry. James Mooney also mentioned these formulas. In all these formulas, the lover renders the woman blue or disconsolate and uneasy in mind. Okay, you drove her crazy. As a preliminary to fixing her thoughts upon himself. Okay, he doing too much. These elders, men getting wild. The marriage ceremony itself is one of the highest tradition. As mentioned before, the people of the Cherokee Nation often married quite young. According to William Gilbert, the age of consent of marriage was 15 for girls and 17 for boys. However, marriage earlier than these ages frequently occurred, like they said, 13 years old. They were in their natural minds. We were born into this insane world. Exactly. Better yet, why settle for someone who doesn't want you? Thank you, Holistic. If she don't like him without magic, it won't work with it. Yeah, it was not. And is she gonna be all broke and looking crazy? No, that's not. Or literally crazy. That's not right. Aboriginal, you said, we only saw glimpses of how to properly move from our grand elders. A lot of our parents' generations were products of their schools. That's very true. You know, that's when all the Black Power movement and stuff happened. When a lot of our parents or grandparents, for some of y'all, in the 60s and 70s and stuff. That's when they came about, because they was all into the schools. Because you got to look back at the history. Remember, the school systems didn't come out until what, the 1940s, probably 30s, 40s in some areas. One of my ancestors had a so-called colored school in the 1930s. That's when they first started building them. And the thing about that is, guess who was behind the funding for these schools? Besides some of the people who, like my ancestors, they used their own money to build it. But they bought the actual school floor plans from Booker T. Washington and I forget his first name. He's Rosenthal, but he's related to Sears and Roebuck and those people who have something to do with the the Rockefellers and all them peoples. Okay, so the Jewish people was behind the funding of a lot of schools, just like they were behind the funding of a lot of the HBCUs. Okay, a lot of the color schools, they bought the floor plans or paid those people to come build the schools on their land. So for example, my ancestor, um, Samuel Anderson, he volunteered a piece of his land, so he's basically that's coming out of his money, and he paid for the floor plans from this Rosenthal school system, which Booker T. Washington was a part. And that's why we trusted it, because Booker T. Washington was a part of it. I don't think a lot of people knew that he had Jewish partners, because he was the face of it. But anyways, so they bought these floor plans at the schools, and all the schools, there's like 3 different floor plans. So they all, okay, I'm getting off subject. but that's what we're talking about, the education thing, how it flipped. So we start off with our people teaching, mostly the women, right? And then at a certain point, probably in the 50s, 60s, those schools were taken over by the public school system that came about, and they're supposed to have separate but equal schools, and we know that did not happen. But anyways, we can do a whole video on that if y'all want another time. Just let me know if you want me to go into it, because my ancestors were actually mixed up in that stuff. And I don't think they understood the magnitude of what was going on. I think Samuel thought he was doing something good for the community because he was known as a charitable person, a community person. So anyways, let's get back into this, because I got way off subject. So like I was saying, they got married as teenagers, basically. And the ceremony embodied the meaning of the society and the roles which the participants played. According to Theda Purdue, a common early 19th century marriage ceremony symbolized the centrality of task to the construction of gender. Both the man and the woman had an equal part in the ceremony. So they were equal partners. Thank you, Blazer. You said I'm a great speaker. You have a challenge? What do you mean? You said you have to challenge that? What do you challenge? Let me know what you're trying to challenge. I'm gonna talk about it. So I read that part. Both the man and the woman had an equal part in the ceremony. Okay, so this is part of the ceremony for those who want to recreate this. This is the actual marriage ceremony. Y'all can replace things. If you're a vegan or something, you might not want to give meat as a gift or something like that, right? That wouldn't be a good gift to give a vegan. Okay, with friends gathered around, the groom will present a gift of meat to the bride. Okay, y'all can give a puppy or something. You don't have to eat it. Didn't say nothing about eating it. You can give her a puppy or something. I don't know. This symbolized his manhood and his ability to take care of her. The bride will reciprocate. Okay, so they both gave gifts by giving her groom an ear of corn, representing Selu, the mother of corn. That we spoke about the green corn and all that. But you said you have the same issue of going off topic. Y'all know I do that all the time. I sure do. Okay, so she would give him corn, representing Selu, or a pot containing food that she had cooked for him, representing her ability to take care of her husband. So I guess if he don't like that, what she cooking, he can be like, nah, I'm not doing this. Then the couple would tie their blankets together, literally tying the knot. Okay. Now I talked about this in one of the other videos. I think the one we were talking about the jumping the broom. So we're talking about tying the knot now. So this is where tying the knot comes from. And I know several of you guys asked me about the blankets and its importance and, what were they used for? And, a lot of the blankets were used in the ceremonies like this, marriage ceremonies. The elders would have ceremonies like honoring them, warriors honoring them, different things like that. Okay. Or you just keep it warm at the green corn, y'all be gonna be out there for a long time. People travel far or they prepare for days. So usually these ceremonies are 3 days and things like that. Okay. Y'all know, just like how we have it in No Grandma Killers, we're not gonna have just one day. We're gonna have 2 or 3 days, even 4 days on some of them. Yes, people used to quilt, and that's one of the traditions that we kept alive. Now, Europe also has their tradition. So it's kind of, we took the blanket thing and we mixed it with the European quilting thing that they have. But if you look at our blankets, which a lot of people don't talk about, the different symbols and things on them all have a meaning. And some of the time, those symbols are medicine. You understand the spirituality of it. So I might do another video breaking those actual symbols. I don't know all the symbols. The stuff I know, I tell y'all. But the symbols have a medicine to it. Okay, it's a spiritual. It's like a sigil in the sense. If y'all know what a sigil is. Camp Powhatan, you said they didn't eat animals in large portions back then. There's no KFC or Popeyes. Now they can fry some turkeys now. It really depends on it depends on the tribe, on the nation, how they eat. My people ate a lot of meat. I don't know about everybody else. Cherokee ate a decent amount of meat. They had some good hunters. Some other people might not have eaten meat, or not large amounts, like you said. But our men were pretty good hunters in the woodlands. I can't speak for them out in the plains or Southwest and stuff like that, but people didn't starve over here really, unless it was like a drought, so. Aboriginally said the winds, waters, and lands cleansing cycles were not overtaxed and actively polluted. Exactly. We hunted within a balance. We never took too much from somewhere. If they thought the land was too overdone, they would burn down the fields, right? And we would move the whole town somewhere else, just to respect nature and wildlife, because we knew that the deer and everybody else had to eat too. So it wasn't just us. Walter, you said, I was given a blanket quilt when I was younger with different designs, but I lost it. I was never told the importance of it. Yeah, it's very important in American Indian cultures. The blankets are very important. Okay, it says, Leslie Gore states that a wedding vase was filled with a liquid Often some sort of corn drink. Y'all know what that is. Corn liquor. Some sort of corn drink. Important to the tribe. The vase had 2 spigots. The groom drank from one spigot and the bride from the other. Marriage. Oh, thank you. Thank you for sharing. Marriages often took place in the council house, which housed the leaders and representatives of the 7 tribes during council meetings. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about, the equivalent of the courthouse that they use. All right, so they would meet at the council house. Once inside, the bride and groom would be escorted by priests to opposite ends of the house. So this is a ritual right here. There's spiritual meanings for them being the opposite ends of the house, opposite rituals. And then the couple would then meet in the center of the council house near the sacred fire. So this is them coming together as equals in front of the sacred fire. All right, moonshine. Yeah, moonshine is corn liquor, right? It's the same thing. Or whiskey, because they make whiskey from corn as well. The couple would, you go into the history of whiskey. Whiskey is based on American Indian corn liquor. You can look that up, or moonshine. The couple would then meet in the center of the house near the sacred fire. Representing the couple was the bride's mother and brother and the groom's mother. Okay, so the mamas was in the house. The mother's role in the ceremony signified their place as the matrilineal leaders. The attendance of the bride's brother symbolized his role as the caretaker of his sister's future children. Oh, the uncle, right? We know in our cultures, the woodland cultures, the uncle took care of the kids, right? Because, sometimes the father may have multiple wives and he might not have lived in the woman's home or the clan house. So the uncle got to take care of the kids. And that's another thing. The uncles need to be stepping up now. People keep talking about we have this 70% single home rate, and the father's not, living in the home and all this mess. But if the fathers are not in the life of the children, even if they are, the uncle should step up and be a figure for the children, right, and help take care of them. A lot of women are struggling and not getting help taking care of the kids and, finding childcare and things. So some, family members need to step up. Even the aunties need to be helping, Aborigines said traditional whiskey had medicinal properties and no additives and falsificates. Right, exactly. And people ain't drink it every day, ain't hanging out in the corners. So things had healing properties because it wasn't overused as well. So we over consume certain things. All of us do it. Okay. The fathers of either family usually held little power and did not participate in the ceremony. After the ceremony, the couple moved into the bride's home among the people of her clan. A husband and wife occupied buildings belonging to the wife, or rather the wife's family. And marriage did not alter a woman's right to her property. Okay, so the women own the property. And it's amazing, little girls out there building houses and stuff. You 13 years old and you building a house. It's crazy. Yeah, everything in the proper amount and time. That's exactly balance. That's what our culture is about, balance. Because Cherokee society was matrilineal, the wife usually gained the upper hand on land ownership. If there was a separation between the couple, the man would have to leave the property belonging to his wife. Y'all know we do that now. You put that stuff in the bag and throw it out the window. And you see polos and timbos out there because it's usually the woman's house, right? Or the woman took over the house at that point and returned to the land belonging to his mama. So she sent him back to his mama house. The woman or the family retained ownership of their property. Despite this fact, both the man and the woman each had important roles to play in their union. Doesn't make the man less important because the woman owned property, right? Said the liquor store was a gift from the white man. See, that's the excess. That's the problem right there. It's not a balance, the excess. Europeans, they they live in excess, too much of everything. Too much of everything and not enough, right? That's what they say. They want everything in abundance, but then it's never enough. You can see that with the land, how they overfish the waters. Now we barely got fish, and the fish is on life support in these waters. Potomac River and places like that used to have abundance of fish, so many fish in the water that they would jump on the boats. Now you barely see these things. You barely see them. People can be out there for hours trying to fish and don't catch nothing. It's really sad that we've gotten to this point. So, okay, let me see. I already read all that. Much more is told of the woman's role in marriage than the man's role due to the fact that Cherokee society was matrilineal. A woman's household often included not only herself and her husband, but also her mother, sisters, and aunt. The Cherokee woman ran the house and raised the children. Although women were often overlooked, they tended to hold the most power with the clans as well as their family. Cherokee women gained status primarily as gardeners, heads of households, clan leaders, and perhaps potters and weavers. They were the preservers of the tradition, basically the history and things, how to do things. Clan membership was determined through the woman, making her a powerful individual in Cherokee Nation. She had many other duties to perform as well. In Cherokee society, home and hearth, homestead, I highlighted the wrong thing. In Cherokee society, home and hearth were part of a woman's domain. Whatever time she could spare from the fields, because she was the farmer, was spent at the homestead with other women. So she chilled with her girls after work, basically, right? A happy hour. She not only was the head of household, but she was also the primary creator of those objects which have come to signify Cherokee culture, such as textiles like the blankets and basketry, right? Let's see if I'm missing what y'all saying. The Constitution bans the use and importation of alcohol. I recently watched a video of a young island woman building her a nice home near her village. I'll find it and share it. Yeah, please do share that. That sounds nice. Blazer, you said, I'm sure it was a lot easier to feed your family in those days. You just had to get a little bit more creative on the approach. I mean, it depends. They actually work harder for their food than we do, 'cause they actually had to hunt it. And then when they hunt it, they had to clean it and all this stuff. So everybody had to work together. Like the whole family worked to feed each other, basically. Even the children, they went and got berries, and they made sure that the crows and stuff didn't eat all the crops. So everybody played a part. The man's role also, let me try to highlight this stuff. The man's role also was also complicated, although he held much less power within the household. The man often had very little to do with the home and had limited contact with his wife and children. That don't sound good. Primary responsibilities for discipline and instruction in the arts of hunting and warfare rested not with the child's father, but with his maternal uncle. So that's the uncle job, big unc. The husband frequently fell out of place in the home belonging to his wife. It is noted that the father was quite restricted in the activities and authority over the children. We see that today. Big mama run everything. So we do see that in our culture, the women doing a lot of the discipline and things like that. Even though men held very little supremacy in the home, outside of the home, they were greatly revered. So you see, there's that balance. It's not that men ain't did nothing. Women took care of the home. Men took care of the family affairs outside of the home. Okay. So that's not saying men are just not doing nothing. But when the Europeans came and they observed stuff, when they came into the home as guests and observed it, they took it the wrong way. Okay. Even though men held, okay, blah, blah, blah. Cherokee men gained status primarily as warriors, hunters, traders, diplomats, and stickball players, right? The ball players, the ballers, they were very, that's a job. It's just like it is now. And they were revered. They had songs and things about them. Although the men did not control the home, property, or social status, they did, however, have an important role by hunting and fishing to provide meat for the family. Okay, so the family ate meat. Like, there's a lot of people saying that certain cultures, Cherokee and Choctaw and Chickasaw and I don't know what other ones, Creek, trying to say that these people were vegans or vegetarians, which they were not. Maybe certain spiritual people were, but as a whole, the clans were not. They ate meat because that was an important role of the men to provide meat for the family. So let's get that out the way. The bond between husband and wife was not always a strong one. Each member of the couple, what? Yeah, I read it right. Each member of the couple enjoyed much freedom in the relationship. Marriage was a partnership of equals, and while there was a ceremony, there was no lifetime commitment. Okay. Henry Timberlake, who mapped the Cherokee territory in Tennessee and accompanied 3 prominent Cherokee leaders to London in 1762, commented on the Cherokee marriage. Comment on the traditions of Cherokee marriage. I have already observed it as little bindings, as ceremonious, for though many last till death, especially when there are children, it's common for a person to change 3 or 4 times a year. What? That sounds like some of y'all dating. Dating 3 or 4 people a year. That's too much for me. He said meat also means the flesh of the fruit. No, they talking about meat because they already talked about venison earlier. But like I said, the medicine people, certain medicine people and things like that, they did not eat meat. Okay, and also people who were sick and doing spiritual fast and things like that, you didn't eat meat. In modern times, people can do what they want to. That's not telling people that they gotta eat meat or whatever. This is what they did then. Okay. This was by far not typical of white settlers who were beginning to invade the land. Hill wrote concerning a conversation between Alexander Longi, I don't know that, and a Cherokee priest. Let's see what this conversation is about. Why am I highlighting? It's not working. This is so crazy. Will you just work? There it is. When the British trader Alexander Long spoke of Christian marriage, uniting wife and husband as one, the priest retorted that becoming one flesh with a woman meant he would be married to his own mother or sister. What? Clans, not marriage, united Cherokees for life. Our wives is nothing to us but mere strangers, the priest advised. Therefore, we cannot be one flesh, as you say. Okay, that was, yeah. Oof. Women as well enjoyed sexual freedom with lovers of their choice. Men were allowed to marry their lovers, often giving them more than one wife. However, women were not. This is a Cherokee society. So in Cherokee society, the men can actually marry their other lovers and have more than one wife, but the women could not marry their other lovers. That don't mean that they won't do anything. That means they couldn't marry them. You see, marriage is some type of business arrangement, right? You said we had class back then. Men had coattail suits and women had dresses. We were dressed to impress with and well respected. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Let's see. Although other lovers were common among the women, it was presumed that they were not to be spoken of, and the man was still expected to provide for the family of his wife. All right, so people doing a lot of stuff. I'm trying to keep it clean for the children in the morning, but people was doing some things behind in the bedroom. But the husband still had to make sure everybody was fed. I guess I don't know. Polygamy was an issue that the Cherokee people often faced, especially after the arrival of missionaries. Samuel Austin Worcester mentions this topic in his article written in 1829, following an interview with the Cherokee elder. Okay. I have heard it said polygamy was unknown among the Cherokees until it was introduced by white residents. I therefore inquire of the old man, who replied that such a custom formerly existed, but was infrequent. Okay. So there's a lot of people saying that a lot of these different tribes were, that all the tribes were polygamous or practiced polygamy. And this is saying that was not true for the Cherokee. It was not common. It was infrequent among them for people to have more than one wife. Right? But they got whatever they did. They did their thing. They had other lovers. Okay, I'll say the clean thing. They had other lovers, but everybody didn't have multiple wives, right, or husbands. In 1831, he returned to the subject, mentioning that polygamy is becoming rare. It is forbidden by law, but the law being as yet without a penalty annexed has probably less influence than public opinion, which makes the practice highly disreputable. So by 1831, they was not dealing with it at all that much. Although polygamy was an issue among Cherokee society, it appears that it had become less and less common with the influence of missionaries. Greetings, Shug. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. You said yes, people wore black belt. Wait a minute, where did I get black belts? Yes, yes, people. Men wore belts back in the day, right? Yeah, well, men. Some of them wear these belts now, big country belts and stuff. All right. Divorce as well as separation was at easy access to anyone who wished it. All right. It says, divorce was a rather simple process. The female merely placed her husband's belongings outside of the dwelling, like we talked about, put that stuff in the glad bag and put it outside. Watch your polo and Timbos blow in the wind. If she chooses to divorce him. So if she wanted to divorce a man, all his stuff was outdoors. Okay. While the husband simply moved out if he chooses to initiate. He was like, I ain't dealing with her no more. I'm gonna move all my out the house and be done with it. See, that's more peaceful. People ain't had all this craziness and folks getting stabbed and all this. No, they just put your either you put the stuff out yourself or you got your stuff put out. So okay, according to the missionaries of Brandard mission, if the man and woman had differences with each other, they will not contend but agree to separate. You know, they were more cordial back in the day. You know, nobody fighting and all this foolishness. And children was the with the mama, and that's it. If a man left the home of his wife, he simply returned to his own clan, his mama house, until he was remarried. If children were involved, they remained with their mother in the residence of their clan. This is the good, simple way. You don't have to do all this foolish stuff. However, if the mother desired, she had the right to give up her privileges to the father. Okay, she can't handle all them children. She let their daddy take them. I mean, he gonna be with his mom and them anyways. He said, I believe more than half of melanated men are not meant to be monogamous. Why do you feel that way? I don't think that's true. It's up to the individual. Some people might have a higher sex drive than other people. Some people got family issues. Some people have abuse issues. Some people just play it by nature. So different people, and then there's a lot of men who want to be monogamous. People don't have time for that. You know, men that's making money and stuff, or like studying and things like that. And people don't got time to be dealing with a bunch of women. They had their wife, maybe they have a side chick. I don't know, but that's how people do it. So you know, you can't just say most of them. And it's not really a skin color thing either, because that's all of the men are. You know, the different. You said the majority of melanated men cheat. That's not fair. That is not fair. I dated a whole lot that did not cheat. It's not fair to say. You know, people are different. There's a lot of women that do things too. So, as white settlers began moving into Cherokee territory, interracial marriage became more common. Cherokee men began to take interest in white women, and white men found the freedoms of the Cherokee women to be quite intriguing. Okay. Marriage between Cherokee individuals and those of African descent also seen through the period. This type of marriage, however, was not common. Okay, so these people right here keep saying that we look the way we look because of African marriages with, you know, especially those of us of Cherokee heritage. We see that stuff was not common. Okay, they only mess with the white women's and men mostly the Europeans. That doesn't even, when they say white on here, they talking about Europeans, so that don't necessarily mean a pale person either. Okay, white as in the status white. You said, who on earth would let Tasha go? For all her knowledge, it must have been Tasha that let him go. Oh, that's so sweet. You said the wrong folk be marrying the wrong folks. Yeah, that's how they do. He said we were infected by the colonizers and conquistadors mentality. Well, yeah, it's a mental thing, and you know the colonizers and conquistadors is not, you know, they don't even have the same mentality of the regular people who stayed in Europe. Okay, so it's a certain mindset and certain group people. We know a lot of them weren't mentally well, who came over here to, do whatever they were trying to do. But we know a lot of the sensible people stayed home. Okay, so it's not even really a race issue. It's like you said, mentality of a certain group of people, right? While it was more common to see a white man marrying a Cherokee woman, the opposite did happen. Many individuals, both in Cherokee and white society, believed that what drew the white man to the Cherokee woman was her sense of confidence and nobility. Many people were opposed to this type of union. The shamans have always objected to whites marrying Cherokee women unless the husbands came to live in the Cherokee towns and became one with the tribe and its customs. Okay, so basically he wouldn't be a white man anymore, right? He would be a Cherokee at this point. Yeah, it's really more so a cultural thing. They did become Cherokee, but these whites were never pleasing to the shamans. They would not allow the wife's brother to instruct the children. As often as not, they moved out of town onto land of their choice and established an independent home. So they kind of broke Cherokee traditions. They wouldn't let the uncles do their thing with the children. And they also wanted to live outside the village and, take up land for themselves, which wasn't tradition. You lived in the village for a reason, or the town for a reason. It appeared that nothing good could come out of such accord. The marriage of a white man and a Cherokee woman was very complicated. In this process, all clan affiliation was thrown off course, right? Because the Western culture, especially British, the men dominated these things. The men, British, Scottish, and Irish cultures, the men ruled their clans. It's patrilineal clans over there. So it messed up a lot of stuff, and that's why we lost a lot of cultural things, because the women were the keepers of the culture. You said, can we find love regardless of race? In modern times, yes, but we're talking about how these type of marriages, these intercultural marriages, basically messed up Cherokee culture and the keeping of certain traditions. Okay. So a lot of them were given courtroom choice, go to New World or death. Right. Yes, a lot of those people were prisoners. This was a prison colony at a certain point. Places like Georgia and South Carolina was a dumping ground for prisoners. It takes a prison to raise children, right? I know so many white women, Hispanic women, and melanated women have been cheated by melanated men. I mean, they get cheated on by white men too. I grew up in the suburbs. Them white men cheat too now. Maybe you just know those people. And Asian men cheat. All different type of men and women cheat. All right, and I lived on the military base. A lot of them women was in the streets. Okay, so can't just say it's just men. It's melanated men. There's all type of men. There's all type of women. He said, not all men cheat. I surely don't. 32 years strong. That's good to know. People need to, I don't know. I ain't gonna talk about what other people do. I don't. So anyways, in the process, all clan affiliation was thrown off. According to Purdue, the Indian wife of a white man usually assumed the surname of her husband, as did their children. But since the children belonged to the clan of their mother, the absence of a kinship affiliation with their father's people meant little to the children and absolutely nothing to the kinship system as a whole. Okay. So there's like associating with the father that had nothing, That didn't really do nothing for them culturally because all the stuff is connected to the mother and her brother and all, the uncles and them and the grandfathers. By allowing individuals freedom from the regulations of these clans, intermarriage became a source of individualism and in some cases alienated in Cherokee society. Okay, so it made stuff confusing. Mixed and matched a lot of things. So the Black Panther movie said it, "Who are you?" And Killmonger said, "Nah, that ain't my name." What name he said? I don't know. I can't remember that part in the movie. Laws created by the Cherokee Nation followed the introduction of interracial marriage in Cherokee society. Whereas most Cherokees' marriage between white men and Cherokee were legitimate, some were not. While many marriages took place out of love for one another, some marriages were not legitimate. Basically, the white men doing some janky things. Many white men allowed greed. What? Many white men allowed greed to take over and married Cherokee women only to gain access to the women's property. Janky stuff. Janky cons. Doing stuff like this. The Cherokee laws were created for the protection of the Cherokee woman and her right to the tradition of her people. For example, a law passed in 1810 stated, resolved that any white man who shall marry a Cherokee woman, the property of the woman so married shall not be subject to the disposal of her husband, contrary to her consent. Okay, even if she want to give her land to her husband, that land is only for her, okay, and her children. Any white man married and parting from his wife without just provocation. Okay, so he's trying to divorce his wife just to steal the land, shall forfeit and pay to his wife such sum or sums as may be adjudged to her by the National Committee and Council for said breach of marriage and be deprived of citizenship. Okay, so this is the government, this Cherokee government making this law so, people wouldn't just marry women to try to steal some land. Okay. All right, so this was the beginning of the failure of the entire clan system. All right, because these greedy people came in and started throwing stuff off and throwing their weight around and trying to boss the women around. So the men had to take a stand and make these laws so that people wouldn't get taken advantage of. Although the union of a white man and Cherokee woman was the most common, it was possible to see a white woman marry a Cherokee man. This was the case of Margaret, where did I get Margaret from? Harriet Gold and Elias Bennott. Did I say that right? I know some of y'all are descendants of Elias Bennett. I think that's how you say it. Who was part Cherokee. Okay, so he was not a full, quote unquote, he was a part. It was a partnership not well accepted among the people of either side, but especially among the citizens of the Connecticut town where Harriet was from. According to Andrew White, both Bowdenau and his cousin Jonathan Ridge later married daughters of influential Cornwall, Connecticut citizens. The knowledge of these courtships deeply divided the town. When the knowledge of Bendenau's relationship with Margaret, I keep saying Margaret, Harriet Gold became public, Ridge's wife, his mother-in-law, and Bendenau's fiance were burned in effigy. The marriage of Bendenau and what? They burned them up? Oh my goodness. The marriage of Benda now to Margaret Gold in 1826 was the final straw. They wilded. They burning people up. You said everyone. I already read that one. When his cousin said his U.S. government name, and he answered back with his name, his traditional name. Okay. You said this was from a hybrid. This was what the hybrid has done for centuries, marrying into the bloodline. She said, Molly. You said, I don't recall the exact. I'm sorry for this. All this. It's all the sound. Excuse that. I'm sorry. My mouth is dry. I don't recall the exact dialogue. It just resonates with me so much, Aboriginal said. He said it's French pronounced Boudinot. Boudinot. Okay, Boudin. Thank you. Y'all know I put your names. I thought I was saying it right. Okay. Thought I was saying it. All right. Boudinot. Okay. So now Harriet family wrote, let Harriet be remembered, though absent. I sometimes very much wish to compose one of your circle again. I do not mean that I could be placed back among you, but that I could sit with you as I am, with the husband of my choice, who not only professes, but is truly worthy of the warmest affections. My, what? Tyrannous love. I don't know what that means. Okay. So she just hyping her man up. And who's this? Upon the death of Harriet, Elias writes, to me the loss is irreparable. May God be my strength and my wisdom. Wow. So they just burned his boo up. Though it was also not uncommon to find instances of Black and Cherokee marriages, these were rare because African Americans were used as slaves in Cherokee society as well as society as a whole. And the union between a Cherokee and an individual of African descent was not acceptable. Yeah, I know this is some some mess right here. Some foolishness right here. Slavery was an issue that consumed Cherokee culture. Many of the Cherokee people were slave owners. Slavery was viewed the same way in Cherokee society as it was among the Southern whites. So this is this is the antebellum period that they're talking about. At this point, a lot of the Cherokee leadership was biracial or very mixed, 1/4 Cherokee and by blood. So, of course, they took on after those white men married all the Cherokee women. This is when these things are occurring. According to Bass, as an Indian acquired property and became what happened here? Why did it just cut off? All right, so all that was missing. I'm sorry. In many ways, interracial marriage was blown to the traditional Cherokee society, and intermarriage was not well accepted. No longer did partners enjoy the sexual freedoms in marriage that they once had with multiple individuals. Marriages now lasted longer and remained monogamous. The impact of Christianity. Okay. So this is life after. So we don't really care about that. So they're just talking about the Christian missionaries on this part. Okay. Okay. One of the first areas of Cherokee life to expect a major shift was that of the clan system. As people changed, so did the laws. The National Council, which is the government of the Cherokee, passed 97 laws between 1810 and 1827 that were designed to undermine old traditions and push Cherokees towards Christianity and agrarian capitalism. This was the first major step in defining the new Cherokee nation in Christian terms. The new Christian ideas were appealing to most of the Cherokee people. These people saw this as an opportunity for a new belief system and a chance to change the dynamics of the family by tearing down old traditions of polygamy and building new Christian relationships. Now, I'm going to say this article got a lot of contradictions here. First, this person is saying that polygamy was infrequent and not as common, and now it's listed as one of the old traditions that needs to be teared down. It's like, which one is it? If it wasn't that frequent, why would it need to be teared down? Why would they care that much? Right? That's a good question, right? Yeah, it's very heavy, very heavy. Yeah, it's amazing people profess their love to each other. Yeah, they did. Like, they try to act like people weren't really in love back then. Like now, it's the only time people had love and romance, which is not true. Okay, but it's just that everybody didn't always marry for only love. They might have married, for clan reasons. For breeding. I hate to say that word, but for children reasons to produce certain children, for political reasons, things like that. So, but they don't mean they had love. They didn't have love. They might not love their spouse. They could love somebody else. So yeah, we remember who wrote this. That's why it's a lot of contradictions. That's when you eat the meat and spit out the bone, right? You said your dad's side is Cherokee. It's cool. Yeah, we really need to get back to the traditions. That's why I really like the part where they talk about the actual ceremonies and things and those holidays. We need to get back to it, you know. We need to be celebrating that. You said breeding vocabulary today. Breeding, yes, breeding. However, the clan system lost much of its power following the establishment of intermarriage into society. Okay. The importance of the clans as regulators of marriage sanctions apparently waned in the decade before removal. All right. So all that intermarriage with different cultures and so-called races that ended a lot of their traditions. And it seemed like they were happy. So they welcomed the change, I guess. It's not from Cherokee perspective. Okay, what is this? One Cherokee traditionalist remembered the changes that took place in courtship customs. I guess we went more into the girl's home. We didn't take her out as much as they do today. The parents were stricter on the girls than they are today. We always had to take her brother or her dad with us to the movies. That sounds like Islamic tradition, marriage and courting and stuff. Very similar. You had the wali, you had to have some type of male figure with you. Couples no longer prepared food for their beloved or exchanged gifts. Okay, so they just being cheap and lazy at this point. Although courtship remained a large part of society, couples could now go out to the movies, go to a restaurant as a new form of modern entertainment were being created. So I guess this is like in the 50s and stuff. To drive-in McDonald's or wherever. Young people no longer enjoy the excitement of Cherokee dances and festivals. Okay, so this is what happens when people, don't stick to their culture. It dies, and something new happens. Yep, go back and fetch it. Sankofa. Shuggy said, with all this laid out, I think people should actually step by step revive these traditions for the time. And that's the real exciting part. Yeah, it is. Definitely, we need to be doing this. Definitely need to be doing this. Okay, so this is just going into more how intermarriage and religion kind of deaded the cultures and ceremonies, So Cherokee women likely felt the changes of culture and society most dramatically as they began to see the power that they once held transferred to the men of the community. Quote, because clan membership derived from women, any weakening of the practices of clan revenge, marriage restriction, and taboos related to clan membership meant challenges to women's power. Okay. So all this stuff changed the dynamics and it made it off balance, really. But the more Christian practices, the women had lost nearly all their rights and privileges. Okay. And women, y'all the ones, women, we are the ones who chose to marry outside the culture at such a large rate that these things happen. So they can't be mad. Y'all chose another culture over your own, and that's why it happened. So to be honest, so these women got to take accountability for that. The knucking of the traditional cultural family into the nuclear family, then to the single and the alternative. Exactly, that's what happened. And people let their traditions go, and this is what happens. This is just exactly what happens. But you got to create new stuff, I guess. You can always dig back in the old to create something new. So the woman wants the sole possession of the greatest power in the family unit was now becoming a forgotten individual. And like I said, who can they blame? They're the ones that chose to marry white men, people outside their culture. Okay, that's what happens. And they came in and they changed a lot of stuff around. So Cherokee began to see many new laws overtaking their tradition. Exactly. New laws are being passed every day to aid in the civilization and Christianization of the Cherokee Nation. So these women, they married outside men, and then they had children by them, and their outside babies. I won't say these people are outside, but excuse me. The children, the mixed children, then came up into positions of leaderships, so they were able to change these laws to the benefit of their fathers and their other people. This is what happened. And nobody can help. Like, people today cannot help what their ancestors did. So we can't be blaming folks for this. But this is what happened. Today, the Cherokee people have continued to see changes within marriage. The Cherokee Nation has not been immune to the more modern controversies that seem to be plaguing other areas of the United States. I'm not going to get into that one again, but they're talking about gay marriage on this one. I'm not getting into that because y'all tore my head off for the other video when I had tons of proof. People still didn't want to hear that, so we're gonna skip past this one today, out of respect. Okay, marriage is the self. Basically, everything changed. Ain't nothing else. Everything changed because when you're letting another culture lead your culture or come in and change laws and things like that, this is what happens. It's not even about a race. It's more so about culture now. If these people came in from another race or culture and they really became Cherokee or a part of whatever culture that we're talking about, then that's fine. They didn't change anything. But the people came in and started changing, telling people what to do, trying to steal land. That's not good at all. Okay. You said Loving versus the state of Virginia. No, because he didn't really change a lot of stuff, and his children became part of the Rappahannock tribe. Okay, so Loving versus the state of Virginia. Those who don't know, um, the wife, what is her first name? But she's a Jeter from Caroline County, Virginia. Her family were enrolled members of the Rappahannock Indian tribe, which a lot of people do not know. Okay, so she was an Indian. They had to take it to the Supreme Court, to sensationalize it to get more support from NAACP and other groups. They said that she was a Negro, but her last interviews, you can go look it up, and even the current interviews from her grandson said she never called herself a Negro. She never was a black. She was an Indian. She was a Rappahannock tribal member. And the grandson is also a Rappahannock tribal member. Okay. So in that case, the man, people from Caroline County know those people. I think they're older than my parents, but people from out there know of the Jeters, right? They're an unknown Indian family. And the Loving family, they was a cool white family. They were not racist. Some people believe that they had some of the ancestry down the line somewhere, but they was cool folks. Caroline County, the people there were not, like the so-called white people there, they still aren't racist to these days. So the fact that they got their door kicked in for getting married and all this stuff, it had to be somebody snitching on them, somebody that didn't like them personally. And they used that whole race issue to get back at them. So there's a whole backstory to that. For those of us who know about Caroline County. So I still got family to live out in Caroline. It's like not that far from me. But look, I'm getting off subject again. You said that's where the white blood comes from? Yeah, from the mixing. And it got to a point that in the Cherokee Nation, mixed people will mix with white person, then their child will mix with a white person. So that's why we have all these blue-eyed Cherokees now. That does not mean that all of them are the so-called $5 Indian. Some of the people are just very mixed out, okay? But they still carry on traditions. Now, the $5 quote-unquote Indian people did not really join the tribes like that. They stole the land, basically. They signed up to steal the land. They didn't come in and do green corn festivals and all this stuff. So that's a misconception about that, which was passed on by who? The Pan-Africans. So a lot of y'all harboring this information from the Pan-Africans, and then y'all saying F the Pan-Africans, but y'all behaving when using their stuff. So that don't come from us, that $5 Indian stuff. Now, that's not to say that stuff didn't go down. It definitely went down. Those people aren't really a part of these nations. They did it just to steal the land, okay? You said, yeah, the twist that was put on our story is wild. A lot of census takers put what they wanted. They sure did. And they will put whole families, they'll have, you can have both the parents mulatto. Then how do the kids become mulatto? Like, what would you call the children? It sounds crazy. Children aren't biracial, right? I don't know. Yeah, they put whatever they looked at you and saw. So you're gonna be brother and sister, live next door in the houses. One of them light skin, one of them dark skin. So one would be the light skin one would be put down mulatto. The dark skinned person would be put down Negro. So and they're full blooded siblings. So they just did what they wanted to do. And some of you doing your genealogy would notice that even within the census, you'll see one census will say both the parents were born in Virginia. The next one will say one of the parents born in Florida, the other one born in Georgia. So you got to be mindful. So they will put whatever they want. So you're going to have to check through all those states to make sure that you find the proper parents of that person, because it could be anything. You say your father has green eyes and silky hair and white passing family members. Yeah, that comes with the Scots Irish mixing in a lot. The Scots Irish, there was a lot of Indian, what they call Indian traders or Indian informants who were of Scotch Irish descent. And that's how a lot of the Scottish and Irish people got their land here, by basically telling on the Indian folks, snitching on the Indian folks, or intermarrying the women. Right? So it's funny that I used to tease people who claimed that they were Cherokee. Then I found out that my family are Cherokee. My great grandmother said, "We are not black, but we are Cherokee." All right, you gotta trust grandma. Gotta trust grandma. They know what they're talking about. And you see, especially those of us who are darker, you see that they said that marriage with the Africans was rare. So we don't look like this because of African mix all the time, right? Exactly. So this one, they have Indian love songs. So these are songs you can sing at these weddings. It says, "Why did I walk the white line alone, playing a lover's flute? By the road I shall fall as a crumbling stone, and shall wait there as a mute. I walk the white road to the blood red moon, lifting my morning cry. She who was lost comes here to me soon. I have willed that I die." So this is from the, well, they got Blackfoot songs on here for the Blackfoot. All right, so this is a summary of the Cherokee marriage ceremony. I'm gonna close out soon, y'all, because it's late. It's late. Okay, it says a priest escorts the groom to one end of the open space in the council house. Another priest escorts the bride to the opposite end. So y'all can actually do these ceremonies. You actually do the ceremony if you would like. Another priest escorts the, okay, I already said that. The couple meet in the center of the council house near the sacred fire. The priest stands facing to the east, toward the door of the council house. The groom's mother stands by the groom. She holds his gifts of venison and a blanket. Venison is deer meat. Sometimes leather and fur are also offered. The bride's mother stands beside the bride. She holds the bride's gifts of corn and a blanket. You see the importance of the blanket? They both have a blanket to give. Sometimes corn bean bread was also offered. The bride's brother stands beside the mother. The brother, by his presence, accepts his role in being responsible for his sister and her children. The bride and groom wear blue blankets representing their old life and ways. The officiating priest, so you know that the new blankets that they're receiving are not going to be blue. Okay, so something borrowed, something blue, right? So the old blankets are blue blankets that they're actually wearing during the ceremony. The officiating priest says a prayer blessing the sacred fire and the union of the two. As he prays, he asks for a long and happy life for the couple. The bride gives the groom a red and black belt that she made herself, and he puts it on. So she made a belt with red and black color, maybe beaded or something like that. And she gives it to the husband to be. The mother gives the gifts to their children, who exchange gifts with each other. So both the mothers, the gifts that they're holding, they exchange the gifts, mother to mother, okay? No, not mother to mother, I'm sorry. The mothers each, like the sons, the male's mother gives the female that he's going to marry his gifts, and her mother gives the husband to be the wife's gifts. I hope y'all understand what I'm saying. They join together their blankets, tying the knot, symbolizing their mutual support within the marriage. Each drink a corn drink, the corn liquor, from a double-sided wedding vase. They drink from east to west, then from north to south, giving their blessings to all the earth. Okay, that's going back to the medicine wheel, like I told y'all, the 4 directions. And you're in the middle, okay? So you're going to east to west, north to south. The vase is thrown down and broken to seal their wedding vows as now being united as one. So like in the Jewish tradition, they stomp on the glass. In Cherokee tradition, they throw the vase down and break it. I don't know who throws it down. Maybe one of the priests, I would think, because they would say it was bride and groom, or maybe bride and groom together throw it down. Excuse me for coughing. It's dry. My voice is dry. The broken fragments are returned to Mother Earth. A white blanket is placed around their shoulders, symbolizing their union. Okay. So this different blankets involved here. They have the blue blankets that they're wearing that gets tied together. Okay. Then there's the blankets. We don't know what color they are, that are gifts from both the, the mother of the groom and the mother of the bride. And then you have this white blanket being put on them at the end of the ceremony, symbolizing their union. A wedding feast is held by the entire town. The couple walks silently and alone to their dwelling place among the clan of the bride's mother. Okay, so that was the tradition right there. Excuse me, y'all. I'm sorry. Where's this wedding song? You didn't even put nothing on here. Okay, so that's it, y'all. I don't think there's anything else on here. That is it. Stop sharing for a minute. All right, y'all. I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and share the video out. Please. You said, Renzo, you said there wasn't many Africans to mix with at that time. Yeah, it really wasn't in Cherokee Nation. No, there wasn't. Some of the people that claim it was Africans were really darker people from other tribes or from their tribe too. Excuse me, I gotta get some water. It says 9 a.m. where you are. It's 3 a.m. where I am. So I need to go to bed. Yeah, I have a cup of water that I'm drinking. My throat's still dry. No problem, Hermosa. Thank you for tuning in. Please share it out. It's free. Please share the video out so people can see and know these traditions. We got to get back to our traditions, really. Got to get back to our traditions. You see the importance of it. You saw the downfall of our traditions and what happened after that. Like a lot of things were completely lost. And there's still some people who hold on to these traditions. So we got to be open-minded about that. You said, do I have an email address? Yes, my email address is theTashaXi at gmail.com. I'll put it in the chat. You said go to sleep. I sound tired. I am tired. Thank you guys so much. So please like, share, subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. And let me know in the comments below after the chat is gone, what you think about what is said in this video. Is there anything that was left out? Any tradition that was left out? Anything people want to add or anything people disagree with? Please let me know. Let me know. Oh, you said your Wi-Fi went out for 15 minutes? Yeah, you can always go back and watch. It's gonna be up. I ain't cuss or nothing, so it's gonna stay up. I ain't put no copyrighted music or anything on here, so it should be up. So thank you. I appreciate you all. Love you. You said what about the Onondaga? Onondaga is it probably has something similar to Cherokee because they're both Iroquois speakers. So they all come from the same root. So this probably is similar tradition, but of course they have different things too, because Onondaga stayed up north while Cherokee traveled down south. So I can look into that. I definitely can look into that. All right, so thank you. And in the Power to Language, to say goodbye. Oh, let me say again, we are having the No Grandma Killers tour on Juneteenth. That's June the 18th, 19th, and 20th in Galveston, Texas. Okay, that's the place who were the last to know that people were emancipated or freed from slavery. So that's a very important day for us, especially those people who descend from enslaved ancestors. So please come out to Galveston to celebrate with us. We're going to be on the water, got a tiki hut. We're going to have a lot of people come out. It's going to be beautiful. Nice panel, everything. So you can go to nograndmakillers.com to get your tickets now. Get them early because you're going to have to book your hotels and things. Galveston is beautiful. They have beaches there. They have like a boardwalk or the amusement park type stuff, kind of like Jersey Shore. So it's going to be a lot of stuff to do in that town. So book your stuff now. Bring your family out. It's going to be a nice family environment for you guys. So you can get those tickets at nograndmakillers.com. We also have a traveling agent now, so you can book everything through the website. They're going to have rental cars. I think they're even doing flights too. So all the things that you need, you can get it done in one place. You don't have to worry about that. Okay. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. Appreciate you guys. And in the Powhatan language, to say goodbye, we say Ana. So Ana.